Good evening and welcome to Scott Belly Hairdressing. Woo! I've actually got a voice tonight which makes a big change, but good evening. It's just after 7:30 tonight and it is great to be live, and it's even better to have a voice to be able to speak. But again, it's a real pleasure to do this in front of our local people. Good evening. Our clients that are local, good evening. All our international viewers as well. Good evening. Also, a big good evening to all the local hairdressing salons that will be tuning in tonight, because I know there'll be a few watching this evening, so good evening as well. Also, I'd like to say a big good evening to Muck Hair Care in Australia, especially to Mark, Lisa, Clive of the Global Artistic Team. Big good evening to you. I'd also like to say a big good evening to all our UK Muck team as well, especially Alan Maxwell, BA, the lovely Justina, and also all of our team at Muck Central. Of course, it's always a big pleasure to be your UK artistic director, as always. Thank you so much. And we'll be working again tonight with all the Muck products. Our client this evening, our model, especially likes one of the products, the Filthy Muck, which we'll be using that again tonight, which I know is a big favourite. But anyway, in the meantime, big good evening to all of the primal conditioning people tonight that will be tuning in. Especially, I know Ross will be watching. Tracy, I normally say Tracy. Tracy is tuning in tonight, and so is Lucy. And also SJ will be on there as well. Jessica, you know you're loved. I know that you'll be watching as well. Brad and all the Spartans as well, which I know. Jim Aaron, good evening. You'll be saying to boo, because I'm just saying the Spartans, but hey, good evening to everybody on Primal. Okay, big good evening to Hannah. Sam Crow, good evening. Chris Jordan, good evening. Helen Bailey, great to see you as well with us tonight. Nicola Bassett, great to see you on there. Also, Dan Metcalf, good to see you on there as well. David Betworth, also really good to see you as well tonight. I don't think I've missed anybody off the list. We're getting all the names called out tonight. Ross will be working with the parietal ridge, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And also a big good evening tonight to Jeremy Saxon, top trainer in town, who's working me out. So I'm slowly getting now some flex, which is really good. But in the meantime, let's go over and meet our model tonight. And our model tonight is the great AC, Anthony Colley. Woo!
Hi.
Excellent stuff. So, we're very lucky also tonight to have Anthony's wife, Lucy. Let's just have a quick look over there, gives a wave, Lucy. And also the lovely Tracy as well. And we're also lucky to have Glenda with us as well, Mrs. Bailey, as well in the house. So, yeah. So, it's great to have you with us tonight. Anyway, in the meantime, tonight's haircut, what's it all about? Well, every haircut is a journey, as we say. It starts with a journey and ends with a fantastic finish. So the massive thing we do here is we change things at Scott Belly Hairdressing, as with all hairdressers. It's making something important and making somebody feel special with a unique haircut that suits that person, which is what it's all about. You imagine it, we create it, which is what it's all about in hairdressing. So let's talk about Anthony's hair tonight. We're going to be taking the haircut quite short through the back and the sides, working with a scissor over comb technique, and then cheating with a pair of clippers at the very bottom. We'll then be working with a nice, natural, wavy hair, which will be going into working with a nice big sort of roll back on the top, and then we'll be working through slightly shorter to longer, which is going to give us a really nice shape through there. And we'll be working again with the horseshoe section, which will be subdividing it. That's great from the equestrian centre in a few weeks. We'll be using that horseshoe section. We'll be working with the recession area, Ross's favourite, the parietal ridge. Apex for any roofers in the house. We'll be working with upper occipital bone, lower occipital bone, mastoid process, and we'll also be working, of course, with the nape tonight. So those are the bones. Yeah. Those are the bones that we'll be working with tonight. So of course it all starts with guidelines and roadmaps which we have on the hair, and that's what we'll be working with on the roadmap system of Anthony's hair this evening. So as I say to you, it always starts with a journey, and that starts with a product. So let's start with our first product tonight, folks. Good evening, campers, and let's work with a little bit of this. So we're going to be working with tonight's cutting lotion, which will be the Fat Muck Blowout Mousse. So of course, roughly about the size of a golf ball, which of course was good for when we were running around the common on Sunday. We did see the golfers. Now if we put this on, obviously if we leave this on here, it turns and disperses into conditioner. The nice thing is also it allows me to glide the product through Anthony's hair and be able to see that natural movement that he's got in his hair. So when you're cutting hair, it's always good to work with a cutting lotion. I always say this every week because of course Ant is now haircut number 14. So it's nice to work with a cutting lotion which allows you to see the natural fall, and also so we can see how the hair's going to finish before we get there. So, as I said to you earlier on, we're now going to work with the recession area. So we'll stay where we are with the camera because of the connectivity to make sure that Talk doesn't have to come in here tonight. So we'll just get the section, divide it, just passing over the parietal. Do you know Ross will be loving that. Hopefully Rich Holt will be joining us tonight on there. I've not seen his name yet. I'm guessing he'll be on there soon with Beth. Also, a big good evening. Also, big good evening to Big Mate tonight. Also, Anne Lynn. I almost forgot you. And of course, we know that the products are also used by Gracie, of course, which is great because we know you're using them on a doll's hair. So they can be used. The products were used on a doll's hair, which was great. Also, big good evening to JB tonight. Ben Lavender, Rich Holt, Paul King, Quick Kingy, Sarah Farmer. You know I'm your stalker. Lee Dermond, and also Charlotte Goldsmith, our assistant manager. Great to see you with us all tonight. So moving on again still. Thanks Luce with the with the names there, it's brilliant. So we're now just going through making sure everything's nice and clean. Again, clean lines, clean section, it makes it all worthwhile. So again, down at Scott Bailey Hairdressing, if you keep your eyes peeled to Scott Bailey's official Facebook page for the hairdressing, you'll see promotions and offers coming on there. You'll see our assistant manageress Charlotte, along with manageress Georgie. They're all doing all the promotions. One of the latest promotions is Prosecco, a free glass of Prosecco on a Saturday with every colour service, which is one of their latest promotions they're doing. So it's complimentary with any colour service we do. So keep your eyes peeled on the Scott Bailey Facebook page. So let's just get a pair of scissors and make a start. Also, big good evening to Katie Locke if she's with us as well from Katie Locke, yeah, Katie Locke, really good evening. And also Katie from Locks in Mildenhall, I know you'll be watching also tonight, up there near Bury St Edmunds. So, again, it's the hand now that dictates the whole haircut. It's going to be the thumb that tells us where we're going. And again, one of Ross's and Wesley's favourites, Wes's favourites, is the second knuckle rule. Cutting down to the second knuckle, which of course, the most amount of hair you can grab is on the second knuckle, the most amount of tension, and also it stops you from cutting yourself, which is the most important. You use your knuckles then to basically put the haircut into its position where it needs to go, so that divides the angle of where we're going into the head. So most people will cut a man's haircut and just get a pair of clippers and start cutting it. But you have to think about if you have a power cut and you're in a position where you want to sort of go back to basics and get a nice solid shape in there, this is a great way to do it. This is a travelling guide, so we're using a clock. So we're going from 6 PM all the way around to 9 PM. So by the time we get to the mastoid process, which is there, we should be at 9 PM. So again, the thumb dictates on the haircut. I'm hoping that Ross picks up on that and probably tells me that when I go to primal conditioning on Sunday, I'll be saying the thumb leads. That's your latest one tonight, Ross. So still moving round. Aunt Sarah's now starting to take shape very slowly because of course his wife's got a great view from where she's sitting because you'll see the cut as it's coming through. Lucy. Busy writing the names down of everybody that's coming on at the moment. If you just joined us, good evening, welcome. We are live from the glorious town of Earl Shilton, in the middle of Leicester, or as the Americans call it, Leicester. So as you can see now, the hand's going round and it's the thumb that leads, so we're now at 9 o'clock. Hey Jez, good evening. Quick, let's put it on. Big evening to Jez, nice to see you with us tonight, top trainer in town. This suit fits like a glove, it really does. Have a look at the model quick. His aunt.
Hi Jez.
Jez, a quick wave.
Thanks for tonight. I feel great.
Have a quick look at Luce over there and Tracy. There you go, look, you can give Jez a quick wave. There you go. Yes, everybody thoroughly enjoyed tonight, and last Sunday. Top trainer in town, absolutely brilliant. So now, moving on. See, we're taking the sides off. We've got a hooter outside, that might be one of our friends out there from Primal, you never know. Can't say it's Ant tonight because he's sitting with us. No, that's the sort
I'll
of thing.
normally give you a
do.
toot when I get past.
Miguel from Chicago.
Good evening to somebody from Miguel from Chicago. Good evening. Nice to see you with us. Nice to have our American family on tonight. Switch over, Dad. Switch over. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to switch the hand over, and we're now going over the other way. So the fingers need to come into the neck, and then the thumb will lead on the next part of the cut. So remember, we've prepped the hair now with the fat muck blowout mousse.
Papa Julie's on.
Who's on?
Really?
Julie.
Jose Luis.
Jose Luis.
Yeah.
Who's that? Good evening.
He's my mum's friend.
Jose Luis. Good evening. Nice to see you. Put it onto Anne quick so I can quickly wave to Jose Luis. Quickly put it onto Anne's face so I can wave.
Hola, Jose Luis.
Hola, Jose Luis. She'll be loving that. Okay, so we're now just coming through. Hopefully we'll find out soon if we've got some more names that we need to say good evening to. Lucy will hopefully help us through there. So now we're still coming through. Remembering the golden rule on this is to keep the fingers close to the neck as you're coming through in the nape, because remember we're working with the nape. By the time you get round here now, you're going from 6 to 3 p.m. So as we come round again at 3, this is what starts it off and gets the hair cut nice and clean. So then it allows you to scissor over comb. And Ant's got some really thick hair here, so we've got to really make sure that you take the sections nice and clean. Some people do tend to rush this part. I know I'm probably cutting this fairly quickly, but this is nearly up to show speed. But you have to make sure you really do take the sections very carefully, just to make sure that each section is individually cut nicely on a travelling guide, and it keeps the hair cut nice and clean, because remember, clean lines, clean haircut, which is what we're really after tonight. It's a good quote for you there, Ross. Clean lines, clean haircut. When you're wearing your baseball cap to the side in the Sex Panthers. So anyway, moving along now. So we're now just checking.
You'll be loving that.
Cross check, because we don't want Miss Jessica out, because she'll be really upset otherwise. She'll say, "Where's my shout out? Where's my shout out?" So Lauren's not come on yet. I've not heard anything from Lauren to make sure my phone's safe. It's safe tonight. Dad's got it in his hand. So we've cross check now to make sure that everything's all nice and clean all the way through. You can see now as I'm cross checking this, everything's nice and clean, which is really good for the benefit of the viewers at home. Like I say, clean lines, clean haircut. So let's go through the next part. We're going to now subdivide the top and go into a parting. This next part of the cut will take, I should imagine, probably in the region of about 15 minutes, which will then give you time to put your children to bed, have your dinners, watch the end of the football game, because I think Leicester's playing tonight. So I've been doing some clients' hairs today, so you could get a chance to do that. So coming through this next part now, a lot of people tend to round this part off. When I say round it off, they use their fingers to round it in that direction. You need to be going square. The idea is you're keeping as much weight in this part as possible, so then it maintains length through the top, which means that the haircut will stay solid looking. So then if you wish to round the top out later, you can do. But this is what I find when I'm teaching, that a lot of people tend to take that off, and it also makes it then difficult to keep the shape looking more symmetrical. Because again, symmetry is very important in this game. You've got to make sure everything's nice and clean as you're doing it. Alan Maxwell, BA tonight. Nice to see you with us. It's just good to see you, BA. I hope you're okay. We're working tonight with the Filthy Muck. It'll be in there later, so I'm sure you'll see later on this evening. But I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon when you give me a call. In the meantime, let's go back to the model. So we're now just working our way through the sides again, keeping it all nice and clean as we're going through, which is the most important part. You make me laugh, you do. And I get, yes.
Waters has got her eye on your phone.
Oh, sorry. What? Oh, was she? Lauren Waters, is she looking at my phone? She's going to come and take my phone safe tonight. Lauren, quick, put it on to me just quickly. Okay, for the benefit of everybody in primal conditioning, make sure your phones are safe tonight. Lauren is on now. Everybody make sure your phones are safe. My phone is safe. And where's your phone? Is it safe?
It's not. I've got it now, though.
Hold on to it tight. Okay, let's keep moving. Don't worry, Lauren, we love you really. Just make sure you've not got a handbag full of phones.
That was brilliant.
Thank you. So you can see now we've got a nice clean line coming through. So we're going to push around to the other side. What this demonstrates, folks, is that hairdressing is fun and you can have a bit of fun whilst you're cutting. I mean, obviously this is quite serious while we're doing this part because this is dictating what it's all about in terms of the haircut. So a good blue brick in a house provides a good foundation, which then you put the orange bricks on the top, which makes it even stronger, which we'll be doing the orange bricks very shortly in layman's terms. So now just coming around to the side, the thumbs leading again, making sure it's clean. Just making sure we've got all the names that we've got on there, because we must have some more names on there, which I can say hello to people. Charlie Brooks. Charlie Brooks! Let's hear it, everybody. Charlie Brooks. Woo! Okay, let's see the list just very quickly over, if we can. Okay, pop it onto me just quickly, Dad. So I need to look at the list quick. Rob Smith, nice to see you. Glenn, good to see you with us tonight. Beth Thompson, good to see you as well. Kate Howard, got your name right. Kate Howard from Mildenhall. I knew you'd come on tonight. Nice to see you. Happy anniversary for the other day. Josh Brown, nice to see you with us. I know you love that. Lauren Waters, well, we already mentioned you. My phone is safe, don't worry. Charlie Brooks, Nikki Gower, great to see you. We'll be ordering the straighteners tomorrow. So anybody else that needs straighteners, we'll be ordering that tomorrow. The order will be going in. Hayley and Damo tonight. Big good evening also. Good to see you with us. And Maz Palmer, good to see you as well. Well done on the 20 minutes on the conditioning treatment. I'm really impressed. Well done, sweetheart. Okay, moving on now with Aunt Collie's hair. Try and get a shout out to as many people as we can tonight to make sure that everybody's not left out.
About the Lavenders, Darren and Louise.
Oh yes, Darren and Louise Lavender at the New Plough Inn. We know that you'll be with us tonight. Hopefully you're okay. Well done, Ant, for doing that one. That's really good. Okay, so now at this point we'll just do a little cross check, just to make sure that everything's on. And then again, it just keeps everything nice and clean, which I can see that everything's nice and clean. So now at this point, what we're going to do is change the scissors over very quickly. Reason being, we're going to introduce a different cutting mechanism into the hair. Now we're going to be working from the apex, which is this point on the top, and we're going to be working to the occipital bone, which is this part here. What we're going to be doing now is using a stroking technique. So again, we'll lift it up slightly. We're looking for no drag here. That's drag, that's no drag. So what we're looking for now is just to put the blade in and flick it. Now, for the benefit of everybody at home that's watching and thinking, wow, that's really cool, I've never seen that before, we're only using the tips of the scissors and we're flicking it as we're doing it. So it creates a really jagged edge. So in a moment, we'll be introducing into the service the razor blade, so we can go through the top. As I know, Andy Hardy and Lynn earlier on were watching me do the haircut, which I said this will be a great warm-up for tonight. So we'll be using a razor blade into the service in a minute to make it that little bit more interesting. So this creates a very jagged effect, which also works really, really well with curly hair, which is what Anthony is blessed with. So we want to work with that. So now we'll go underneath this way, lifting it up, which then stops the drag. And then we can really see that shape as it's coming through. Mrs. Bailey's very quiet tonight, over there. Hello, Mrs. Bailey. So you can now see the shape just coming through. Again, just lifting it up as I'm doing it. Again, that stops the drag. Give it a little shake, because the muck blowout mousse allows us to see that shape, and you should be able to see now in Ant's haircut that everything's blending through quite nice. A lot of people tend to struggle with crowns because they tend to go all over the place, but again, it's working with what it is. The Americans call it the swirl. You have to think about how you're working with it and the angles that you're taking. So you have to think about the angles that you're taking and where it's going, and cut with the angle, which is most important. So we're now going to cut with the angle of Ant's hair through the top, and we'll use a razor blade for this part. Most people are used to seeing a conventional way of coming through the top this way. I'm going to go through this way, just to bring out the shape. So the idea is we're going from short to long. So the idea is we maintain the front so we can see that fringe saved and maintained, and we're going to go shorter through the top. So as we look at his haircut, we'll see a really nice sort of quiff coming through the top, and we'll have a nice shape behind it, and this is the way that we'll produce that look, literally through by going from the back to the front. So let's do that with a razor blade now. Okay, so thinking of this section as like the spokes in a bike wheel, it's always quite easy to do that. So let's just go over here, just lifting it up and elevating it. Now remember, we're going in short to long, so that means we're just going to come in, chip away at it, It helps sometimes to have a fresh blade in this. I've replaced the blade earlier, so you shouldn't even feel that. How does it feel?
Agony.
Is it? Is it really? No, that's earlier on. That's going to Jez.
No, that's fine, mate.
Just trying to warm you up for the viewers at home, okay, so you can now see it cutting. This is doing two things. It's actually cutting hair and it's also making the curly hair come out and do its own thing. Now when we get towards the front, we just have to lift that up and just cut it, and that then starts to bend that front over and give us that piece of hair that we wanted to maintain. So coming through the top, we did this with Chris Jordan's hair. He had the same technique in his hair when I cut that, which I know he really liked that technique. Be good to see you again on Saturday, Chris. I know you're with us tonight. So coming through the top now, you can see as I just get towards the front, just flick it up and it just maintains that length and preserves the fringe. So at least my ankle's holding up well now, the support's off tonight, and I'm also on my tiptoes, which is it's good. At least it's working. Okay, so now we can see we've got the shape coming through. Let's give it a little shake and we can see where we're going. Okay, so now it's just come through the opposite way. Let's make sure I've got the camera in the right position. Now it gets interesting because we're going to cut backwards now. Same technique. So we just literally reverse it, and as we come towards the front, again, just keeping that and maintaining it. So anybody who doesn't use a razor blade, it's always good to have a go with a razor. I know a lot of people are naturally nervous about using it. Try it on your doll or your mannequin that you have at home and just get a feel for it, and then introduce it into the service with any customer, and you'll find that you'll be able to be more confident with it. It's a really nice item to use, a razor blade.
Graham Baxter.
Graham Baxter, nice to see you with us tonight. Punk, it's good to have you there. Punk used to work with us many years ago, so be good evening to you in Salon Ice. Always good to see you there. Some unusual techniques, no doubt, that you're seeing tonight. So, at this point now we've maintained the length on the front, which everybody's relieved to see. So what we'll do now is we'll go into the scissors over the top and cross-check the opposite way, just to make sure that everything's level. Remember, we're looking for a tachograph on this top. It shouldn't be a straight line, it'll be a jagged edge. Just want a little bit more weight out of the middle, just so it looks a little bit softer. Hopefully Lucy will be over in just a moment with the list again.
Yeah, Millie,
Some
mate.
more names. Okay. Who was that, Dad? Sorry? Dad?
So, Millie, mate.
Millie May, good evening. Nice to see you on there. Fresh from the show of the week.
Matthew Sidwell.
Matthew Sidwell, good evening.
Sam Woodcock.
Let's put it back onto me. Sam Woodcock, good evening Tucker, hope you're okay, big shout to you, and to Rick, hope Rick's okay tonight, hopefully Rick will be watching. Woohoo, Tucker, 10-4. Okay, let's move on now, we're going the opposite way. You always say, give me a shout out. It's always good to see Sam Woodcock on there, it's really good. Okay, so now just coming through the opposite way, and you can see now I'm just taking a little bit more weight out of the middle panel, just to make sure that that's all going to behave itself when we do the blow dry. So what we'll do is we'll disappear once we've completed the cut. In a moment I'll do a little bit of texturising with the razor in a second, with another unusual technique which we've never showcased before on this. And then what we'll do then is we'll break momentarily for about 10-15 minutes, disappear, and then come back with the blow dry on Ant's hair afterwards. Now we need a little bit more texture, so what we're going to do now is twist it round, and then we're going to just slice into that. Again, this thins it out and also allows the hair to be able to grow in many different directions, so it's a multi-directional layer, which then allows us to blow dry it into either going forwards or backwards. And again, this is an old technique from Tony and Guy many years ago. I learnt back in the 90s. I like to resurrect things and bring them back, so it's just quite nice to use.
Katie Morrison.
Katie Morrison, nice to see you with us tonight. Congratulations On your new arrival, as a hoot, that must be somebody going past that knows us. Jess O'Donnell, great stuff. Okay, so we're now going to use a razor blade again and just come into that. Now what we're doing now is just turning it. As we're turning it and slicing into it, what it's doing is it's just taking a little bit of weight out as we're doing this. Just a tiny bit, because we don't want to take too much out. And then what we'll do then is we'll go back through it with thinning scissors in a moment. Again, this encourages a lot of movement in it, which just keeps it interesting. Just through there. Again, it's just, all it's doing is taking the weight out but maintaining the wave at the same time. Ant's smiling, which is good, because that means that he's still happy with what we've got. So we're going to do top and tail now. So we'll go under on the tail and on the top. And what this does now is with thinning scissors, this takes a little bit more weight out, which again just keeps it clean. So again, I need this haircut to last, so we've got some good longevity on it, which is the important part. A lot of people think it's alright how it looks at the time, but how will it look in 6 weeks, which is the most important part. So you need to be thinking of how you do that and how it works with the products, because again, it's the part of the cut. If you've got somebody that likes to have value for money and likes a haircut to last for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, like some of the guests do, that's what you're looking for. So it's very important. Now the other good thing is with a pair of thinning scissors, you can manipulate the front, just give it a little cut like that, and then that manipulates it so you can then bend that round, and then you still keep the length, but you're able to still see the front as well on it. So now just still top and tailing as we're going through here. Again, just have to watch your fingers. When you're working so fast, it's really important to make sure that everything stays there, and we can now see through there. Okay, back on, mate. Okay, good evening. So just really just going through now, just making sure I'm going to do is just soften out the sides with the thinning scissors, make sure that all sits absolutely perfect, and then what we'll do is we'll break off, disappear for about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back again live, and we'll be able to then showcase with you the finishing finale of scissor over combing and clipper cutting, which is good for basics and also advanced barbering. Then we'll also be exploring the muck products, how they will work with the cut, and then we'll also be looking at cutting the eyebrows as well into the shape, into the service, and making sure that everything just looks absolutely pristine. In the meantime, just using thinning scissors now just to blend the top to the sides, because again we just want to make sure that we've got all that movement out of there and the texture is going back in. And then what we'll do is we'll apply the product to start the blow dry, which again just makes it quite interesting when you look at things, because again you're going to think about how you're going to use a product to blow dry Ant's hair this evening. So, as I said to you, on every journey we have to think about the products. What we're going to use tonight is a paste. This is one of Ant's favourite products. It's called Muck Filthy Paste, which is like a very light very light paste, which is quite gritty. So the beautiful thing about it is it's very easy to use and very pliable. I use it on a lot of my ladies blow dries. So if you have a short blow dry, long blow dry, what you do is you apply the product. So people generally would think of a paste as a product that you would apply at the end to finish off, but you can actually use a paste to blow dry with. So as soon as you apply the product, you want to get the heat on it immediately and then start blowing it into shape. But you can see now where we're going with this cut, we can sort of see the fronts up at there, which is what we wanted to leave, maintain length in the front. We've got a nice shape coming through here. I'm going to take these sides in later, and that should really start to make Ant's hair look more like where he was going with it. Okay, so thank you very much for spending just a little bit of time with us in part 1. We'll be back very shortly with part 2. And in the meantime, let's just say a big good evening to, we've got Lauren Westonbury. Nice to see you on there. I know you log on. Thanks to Lucy, we can say good evening to you tonight. Claire Hill from Burbage. Good evening, Claire. I hope you're well with the champ. I know the champ will be on there, the main man. Always nice to see you with us. Also, Nathan Atkinson. Good to see you with us also tonight. Ed Mao tonight. Also, Michelle Dawson. Really nice to see you as well. Sam Bacon and also Gemma Perrin. Nice to have you all with us this evening. But in the meantime, go back to looking after your children, watch a little bit of TV, enjoy your meal or a cup of tea, and we'll be back live and direct from Scott Valley Hairdressing with Ant Colley, our model tonight. We're using and working with Muck products in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Don't go away. We'll be back real soon. Ciao.